To demonstrate her disinterest in me, Lily carried the backpack I had given her and wore the pendant I had gifted, openly rebuking me and declaring that I had no right to view her in that manner. She even chastised her parents when they urged her to stop being unreasonable. Later, when I returned home for the new year with a swollen lip, she taunted me, asking, "Did a dog bite you again in front of everyone?" I responded clearly, "No, it was my girlfriend who kissed me." Her expression darkened instantly. On the final day my mother had requested I come home early for the new year, I managed to arrive late in the evening. As I walked through the door, I saw Lily and her parents waiting in the living room. She gave me a look with narrowed, almond-shaped eyes, a hint of disdain in her stare. "Michael, did a dog bite you again?" she asked. When I was 5, I had insisted on playing with a puppy and ended up getting bitten, which required 3 rabies shots. Lily had reluctantly accompanied me back then, but she never missed an opportunity to remind me of it. Everyone laughed at the memory, so I touched my mouth, noticing that the cut had scabbed over and was quite noticeable. Amid their laughter, I replied, "No, it was my girlfriend who bit me this morning." Silence enveloped the room. In the stunned quiet, only Lily's face turned pale. After all, we had a childhood promise. The heavy silence persisted until Lily's mother, Mrs. Chen, broke it. "So Michael has a girlfriend now," I confirmed politely. "Yes, a classmate from my school," I added, noticing Lily's wide-eyed surprise. I continued, "She couldn't make it this time, but after the new year, I'll introduce her to everyone." In the next moment, Lily's face flushed with anger and she shouted, "Who wants to eat with you all?" She stormed off to the balcony, leaving her mother to give me a worried glance before following her outside, shrugging at the lingering awkwardness among the others. I wheeled my luggage to my room. Fragments of the argument drifted in from the balcony. Mrs. Chen's voice pierced the air. "You were the one who said you didn't like Michael, and now he has a girlfriend, and you're acting like this." Silence followed her words until Lily finally responded, "Well, I still don't approve." I chuckled softly. 3 years ago, at a family gathering, Mrs. Chen had joked about me being her future son-in-law. Lily had exploded, accusing her mother of poor taste and insisting she didn't like me at all. She then turned on me, demanding I keep my distance and not think about her. Her father had slapped her on the spot, but Lily blamed me for everything. Our friendship deteriorated, and when it was time to choose a college, I selected one far away in the Southwest. I believed we would remain just childhood friends after that. But now, what was Lily attempting? After changing into more comfortable clothes, I found Lily already seated at the dining table. Somehow, her mother had managed to soothe her, and she looked less irritated than before. During dinner, everyone carefully avoided bringing up the previous conversation, asking only about my studies instead. Just as the atmosphere began to lighten, my phone buzzed. I glanced at the caller ID, a slight smile tugging at my lips. "Excuse me, Aunt Didi, you all go ahead," I said, stepping outside to answer. It was my girlfriend, Sophia. Her voice was sweet as she checked if I'd had dinner. I teased her. "How did you bite my lip so hard it bled?" "I didn't even realize." Sophia gave a small huff on the other end before muttering, "I did it on purpose." Just as I was about to respond, there was a loud bang behind me. I turned to see Lily. Her face was flushed with annoyance. "Are you coming back to eat or not? If not, I'll start doing the dishes," she snapped. Sophia overheard her and asked, "Have you not eaten yet? Should I order you some fried chicken for later?" Lily bit her lip at the sound of Sophia's voice. "Who's that?" she demanded, meeting her gaze. I said clearly and slowly, "My girlfriend." After a moment of silence, Sophia softly replied, "Call me later tonight." "Okay." The line went dead. Now, standing by the entrance, a heavy silence lingered between Lily and me. She stared at my lips for a long time before finally asking, "How long have you two been dating if you're already kissing?" I switched off my phone and answered, "Almost a year." She furrowed her brow, then asked, "Why have I never heard you mention her?" I realized she was probably referring to my lack of social media updates. After our fallout, I hadn't unfriended her, but we barely communicated, and I rarely posted anything, never changed my profile picture, and certainly never shared anything about Sophia. "I forgot to update," I said, tucking my phone into my pocket. Lily let out a little laugh, almost relieved. "Guess you don't like her that much then, huh?" I looked at her puzzled. "What makes you say that?" She shrugged. "If you really liked her, wouldn't you at least mention her?" I shook my head, exasperated. "No, I really do like her." I held her gaze, wanting her to understand I wasn't lying. Lily's eyes met mine, a flicker of unease passing over her expression. Not wanting to prolong the conversation, I turned to leave. Just as I walked past her, she murmured almost to herself, "How could you move on so quickly?" 3 years ago, after Lily humiliated me in front of her parents, I was genuinely upset, but only for a while. Growing up, we had been close friends, practically inseparable. She even sent me mixed signals from time to time. In high school, reading romance novels became popular, and people around us often joked about us being a classic childhood sweethearts couple. Lily never once turned down any of my friendly gestures. On the contrary, she even asked me for Valentine's Day gifts. I thought she liked me too, but that night at the gathering, she embarrassed me right in front of our families. The next day, my deskmate told me Lily had started dating Ken, the class heartthrob who had openly admired her for years. At the graduation party, Ken had confessed to her in front of everyone, teachers included. Although she hadn't responded then, the very day after she humiliated me, they got together. I opened WeChat, and there it was, a post from Ken, declaring their relationship. In the picture, he and Lily were leaning close, looking cozy. My close friends, who knew of my long-standing rumored romance with Lily, started texting me, asking what was going on. Thankfully, I'd never been one to post much on social media. Otherwise, I'd have had to explain myself to everyone. With a calm smile, I put my phone down and resolved to cut Lily out of my life. I didn't have much time to dwell on any bitterness. I'd once promised Lily that we'd both stay by the coast, but I broke that promise. When it was time to choose a college, I picked one in the Southwest that summer. Encouraged by my parents, I got my driver's license, learned to swim, and even traveled to several cities. With a packed schedule, any unnecessary emotion simply got pushed aside. My mom mentioned that Mr. Chen had brought Lily over to our house a few times, but I was either away on a trip or in class. It wasn't until right before the semester started, while helping my mom pack, that I saw Lily again. Mr. Chen looked at me and remarked, "You've tanned." I nodded, explaining I'd been to many places. Lily said nothing, just glanced at me now and then. In a rare moment of silence, she cast me a long look before leaving. That night, just before bed, I scrolled through my feed and saw a post from Ken. It read, "Sometimes a childhood friend can't beat fate. What you can't have will always feel out of reach." Someone had asked him in the comments, "What happened?" Ken's reply was simple, "We broke up." Only then did I understand why Lily had looked so down earlier. She and Ken had ended their relationship. Still, Ken's words about childhood friends losing out to fate left me confused. As far as I knew, Lily didn't have any other childhood friends besides me. In the past, I might have gone to Lily to clear things up. But over the summer, I'd come to realize that Lily and I would, at most, remain just friends. I wouldn't let her affect me anymore. On the day I left for school, I powered off my phone before boarding, missing Lily's last message to me. "Why did you choose C University?" College life was busy. I took on a second major, filling my schedule even on weekends. It wasn't until Lily messaged me one day that I realized I hadn't thought about her in a long time. She was asking me to buy something on Pinduoduo for her. "Sorry, I don't have the app installed," I replied. After a long pause, she finally responded with a simple, "It's fine." I wasn't in the mood for small talk, so I put my phone down and continued with my homework. When the library closed, I noticed she'd sent another message 5 hours earlier. "When does your summer break start?" I didn't reply. When my mind drifted back to the present, Lily's question replayed in my head, wondering how I could move on so quickly. A strange thought crossed my mind, but I brushed it off quickly. "I don't understand what you mean," I said, heading back to my room. On the day I returned to campus, Sophia was there to meet me at the station. The moment she saw me, she clung to my arm and said, "You must be tired. Let's go eat something nice." As we walked, Sophia's face seemed a little off. I asked her what was wrong. After a moment of hesitation, she said, "About the other day when I bit your lip, I'm really sorry. It's just that I felt really insecure once." Sophia and I had talked about past relationships, and I'd been honest, telling her about my feelings for Lily. She'd brushed it off back then, but I'd noticed the unease in her expression, the same look she had now, both sad and anxious. Gently, I took her hand and said, "It's okay. I never blamed you." Sophia and I first met under amusing circumstances. One day, the library was closing early for the holidays. On my way back to my dorm with an armful of books, a puppy suddenly bounded out of the bushes. We made eye contact, and it ran over to nuzzle my leg. I knelt to pet it, and it wouldn't leave my side. The collar around its neck showed it wasn't a stray, so I had no choice but to sit and wait for its owner to show up. After a few moments, the little dog started pawing at me, then curled up in my lap and fell asleep. Minutes later, a girl came rushing over. She glanced at me holding the puppy and clasped her hands in gratitude, apologizing profusely. "It's my dog." To thank me, she added me on WeChat. That girl was Sophia. Sophia was a freshman, a year behind me. When we first met, she often showed up at the library, bringing me lunch under the guise of thanking me or asking for help with general education courses. Slowly, she became a natural part of my life, and even my friends couldn't stop praising her. Soon enough, I grew accustomed to having her around. I was pretty sure I knew her feelings, but memories of the mess with Lily made me hesitant to take the next step. Who knew if she'd turn around and tell me I'd misread things, just like Lily once had. Then one day, Sophia brought me a homemade bento. My hand slipped, and it fell to the ground. At that moment, I remembered all those mornings I'd brought breakfast for Lily, who never once thanked me. In fact, the one time I accidentally spilled a bowl of congee, she threw a tantrum, refusing any apologies and eventually tossing the entire breakfast in front of me. So, almost instinctively, I glanced at Sophia's expression. She was briefly startled, but then knelt down, quietly cleaning up the spilled food with a napkin. I crouched down to help, guilt filling me. "I'm so sorry for wasting your effort," I said. Sophia shook her head, looking at me with a gentle smile. "Everyone can be a bit clumsy sometimes." Lily had once bombarded me with so-called wisdom that said if you truly loved a girl, you should tolerate her temper, accept her bad moods. When I disagreed with her, she would call me unfit to have a girlfriend. But now here Sophia was, forgiving my mistake without a hint of anger. I asked, "You're not mad?" Sophia looked at me, surprised by the question. Then she laughed. "You didn't do it on purpose. I can make another one for you." "No problem." Yes, understanding should go both ways. So should patience. Why do some people just not get that? Sophia's words were like a spring breeze, melting something frozen inside me. One day, she was sitting across from me in the library, passing me a little note that read, "Would you be my boyfriend, please, senpai? If you turn me down, I'll cry." Her signature was a little doodle of a puppy with teary eyes. I couldn't help but laugh. At that moment, I knew I'd fully moved on. Who could possibly let a girl this adorable cry? So, I wrote back, "Only if you promise not to cry, girlfriend." Sophia wasn't the kind of girl who just took without giving back. Every holiday, we'd plan little gifts and surprises for each other. And she was never fussy. We'd always openly share ideas for presents instead of playing guessing games. She got me a full set of game skins, and I helped her plan her dream vacation. For the long weekend in October, we even went on a trip to a coastal city. Sophia took a perfect Polaroid shot at the beach and tucked it behind her phone case. We had an incredible time, like both a couple and close friends, enjoying 3 days and 2 nights of laughter. But on our way back, an unexpected visitor almost shattered that happiness. As we held hands, walking back to campus, my roommate called. "Hey, Michael, your sister came by looking for you. She's waiting downstairs." I paused. "Which sister?" "No idea, but she's gorgeous. A bunch of guys have already tried to get her number." Right as I reached the dorm, I spotted her, Lily in the middle of a crowd. She noticed me and was about to say hello when she caught sight of Sophia and me holding hands. Her eyes instantly turned red. Lily offered to take Sophia and me out for coffee. As we sat down, Lily asked, "And she is?" "This is my girlfriend, Sophia," I replied, introducing Lily as the girl next door. Lily's face turned pale. Sophia, holding her coffee, leaned closer to me with a playful smile and said to Lily, "Aren't you a sharp little auntie?" Lily bit her lip. "Little auntie." Sensing the tension, Sophia announced, "I ordered some little cakes from next door. I'll go pick them up." She left the table. I rubbed my temples, watching the foam swirl in my latte. "When did you start drinking coffee?" Lily broke the silence. "Back before college, my mother would prepare tea for both of us, so I'd never needed coffee to stay awake. I started when I was prepping for finals, got too tired, so I switched to coffee." "I thought you'd always stick with tea," she said, a hint of something in her tone. Stirring my coffee, I replied, "People change." I met her gaze and asked, "What are you doing here?" She replied, her tone stiff, "As your childhood friend. I'm just here to see if your girlfriend is a good fit." The way she emphasized childhood friend had a touch of bitterness. As Lily and I sat in silence, Sophia returned with the cake. While unwrapping it, she casually remarked to Lily, "Michael and I both love the cheesecake and coffee here." She placed the cake in front of us, almost like she was showing off a prized possession. Lily glared at her, looking anything but pleased. Sophia, sensing the tension, moved closer to me, resting her head on my shoulder. "Why do I feel like little auntie doesn't like me?" she whispered, loud enough for Lily to hear. Lily's expression grew even darker. I ruffled Sophia's hair and reassured her, "Nothing to worry about." Under Lily's frustrated gaze, I took Sophia's hand and said, "Sophia and I have plans at the library, so thanks for the coffee, Lily." I placed a 50 yen note on the table, and without another glance at Lily, led Sophia out. On the way back, Sophia's unusual behavior replayed in my mind. Typically kind and polite, Sophia rarely went out of her way to make someone uncomfortable. Today, though, she seemed to make Lily's mood worse with every little move. My instincts told me she'd figured out who Lily was. "Sure enough," Sophia asked, "she's the childhood friend you once liked, isn't she?" I nodded. "Yes, that's her." "But it's all in the past now, Michael," Sophia, still clinging to my arm, said softly. "I trust you," though her worried eyes betrayed her uncertainty. I thought that would be the last I'd see of Lily. But the next day, Sophia's roommate called, sounding frantic. "Michael, get to the hospital. Sophia's been hit." I rushed over, only to find Sophia sitting on a bench, red-eyed, with Lily seated at the far end. The moment she saw me, Sophia huddled into my arms, looking about to speak, but Lily cut in. "Michael, I saw her all cuddly with another guy, laughing like it was nothing." Lily held up her phone, showing me a photo of Sophia with her arm around a guy, smiling as they talked. Lily muttered, "See, I told you she's not right for you." She shot me a smug glance now and then. Cutting her off, I said, "That's Sophia's cousin. I know him." Lily froze, momentarily stunned. Then she huffed, "You don't have to defend her. It's not like you've ever had great taste." I replied calmly, "This isn't about defending anyone. Sophia introduced me to her family when we started dating." Turning to her, I added, "If my taste were really that bad, I wouldn't have liked you back then." Lily's face went pale, her eyes welling up. "How can you say that?" Ignoring her, I checked Sophia's injuries. Her tearful face looked like a kitten whose food bowl had been taken. Without looking up, I spoke to Lily. "It's time for you to head back to campus. You're not only upsetting my girlfriend, but you're also making her feel insecure." Watching Lily's shocked expression, I added, "Please don't come back again. If you do, I'll have to speak to your father about this." Lily left, looking devastated. That evening, I walked Sophia to her dorm. She chatted as usual, saying she wanted to ride the Ferris wheel with me the next day since it was supposed to be clear. She said it'd be the perfect night for stargazing. But the next day at noon, my mom called, sounding concerned. "Lily told me she saw Sophia hugging another guy. What's going on?" A surge of frustration hit me. Frustration at Lily for twisting the truth, for constantly meddling. The thought lingered all day, and when we finally reached the Ferris wheel's peak, Sophia tried to kiss me, but I was too distracted to respond. When I came to my senses, Sophia was looking at me, tears shining in her eyes under the lights. Before I could apologize, she spoke first. "Michael, is something bothering you? Let's take a few days to cool off. I'll wait for you." Sophia, usually so cheerful, was shedding tears because of me. Guilt settled heavily on my chest. Though clearly upset, she still held my hand as we walked back. Before heading inside, she looked down, her shoulders slumped. "Michael, the things I give, they're the things I want too." I kept replaying Sophia's words in my mind after she left. On weekends, we'd usually spend all our time together. But that day, she went alone to the lab. I found myself wandering into a bookstore, a rare occasion. At checkout, I sensed someone watching me. Looking up, I saw a guy I didn't recognize. He was holding a book and walked over. Out of courtesy, I smiled. But he said, "I know you." I blinked in surprise, as I'd never seen him before. He smiled back, pointing to the counter. He added, "I used to have a thing for Sophia." Seeing my startled reaction, he chuckled. "Relax, it never worked out." Then he shared his story with me. They were classmates in high school. Sophia was popular and admired for her looks and grades, a name everyone in school knew. Meanwhile, he was the classic campus heartthrob. At the time, people thought they'd make a perfect match, constantly encouraging him to confess. Caught up in the momentum, he started to like Sophia and eventually confessed to her after school one day. But to his surprise, Sophia turned him down with a serious response. "We shouldn't date just because people think we should. Real love is about knowing your own heart." It wasn't until he met someone he truly cared for that he understood Sophia's words. He admitted, looking back, it wasn't real attraction to Sophia. I was just going along with what others said. Caught up in the idea of dating someone popular, he looked over at me and continued. "Sophia never shared what happened between us. She kept it private to protect my pride. I see you in her social media often, and knowing Sophia, I figure you must be a good guy too." After he left, I opened Sophia's profile. Her background photo was a picture of us together. Every post was set to public. Scrolling down, I realized that before we were together, her posts were just about her daily life. But since last year, every update had something about me. Casual shots of my profile, photos of me dozing off in the library. Sophia's friends clearly knew who I was because she'd told them about me. "Michael is always too engrossed in studying to remember to eat, so I have to bring him lunch," she'd say. No wonder my roommate kept saying everyone knew I was Sophia's special someone. I glanced at my own profile. My sparse feed was mostly required reposts from school clubs with no trace of Sophia. No wonder Lily assumed I didn't care about her. Remembering Sophia's sad expression yesterday, I began to understand. I called my mom and asked, "Did I ever tell you about my girlfriend?" There was noise on her end, likely from a lively mahjong game. Her response, however, struck a nerve. "When did you ever tell me?" "You just announced you had a girlfriend during the new year." "Michael, listen to me. Be careful about who you choose. Last time, Lily said she saw your girlfriend hugging some other guy." I interrupted. "Mom, that was her cousin. Don't believe Lily's stories." Mom paused. "So what's your girlfriend like?" "She's the best," I answered firmly. After a moment of silence, she added, "Michael, I know you. You may feel deeply, but you only show a fraction of it. If you're calling me now, I bet you've had some disagreement. You're not one to express your feelings, but relationships require that." She suddenly shouted, "Who? Pay up, everyone?" and hung up, leaving me staring at my phone, bewildered. I'd always thought that love was a private matter between two people, not something to display to the world. Sophia had never pressured me to post about her or flaunt our relationship. She was always like that, never demanding anything from me. But now I realized that while Sophia loved me wholeheartedly, I hadn't given her the security she needed. Lily's interference only made her insecurities worse. I knew I had to talk to Sophia, but before I could reach Sophia, Lily found me. I was surprised to see her outside my dorm building. "I want to talk," she said. I realized it was time to put an end to things with Lily. Her endless meddling would only fuel Sophia's anxieties. I agreed. But I sent Sophia a message before heading out. "Lily wants to talk. I'll be back soon." This, I thought, was my first step in showing Sophia that I cared. We went to a Sichuan restaurant near the back gate. Knowing Lily couldn't handle spicy food, I ordered several spicy dishes anyway. "I can't eat spicy food," she protested. "Then order something else for yourself," I replied. Her eyes filled with hurt. "You never used to talk to me like this. In the past, I would have been considerate, but not this time. We still haven't addressed the fact that you lied to my mom about Sophia." "It's not a lie if it's true. How can you be sure he's her cousin? Do you really know her family?" she challenged. "Am I stupid?" I replied, frustrated. "Pretty much," she shot back. "You've always been clueless." I laughed coldly. "So, you think you're the only smart one, and everyone else is just naive?" Realizing her words, Lily stammered, "I didn't mean it that way. I'm just trying to protect you." "Mind your own business," I replied dismissively. She reached for my sleeve, but I pulled back. "Why her? Wouldn't it be better with someone you've known forever?" I could hear the implication in her words and clenched my teeth. "Do you even hear yourself?" "Yes, I'm crazy," she burst out. "I regretted it ever since I started dating Ken. I thought about you the whole time we were together. I like you, but I just got angry back then with all the jokes my mom and others made." Her outburst made things clear. That comment from Ken's old post about childhood friends versus fate was about me. My disgust toward Lily only grew. If she didn't like Ken, why date him? Ken used to tell me, "Michael, I really admire you. You're smart and you're a great guy, but in terms of Lily, it's fair competition as long as she's single." I remembered his bright smile. He chased her for 3 years, yet their relationship lasted just 2 months. "How unfair was that?" Lily continued. "Can we start over? Don't you want me anymore?" Before I could answer, the table behind us suddenly burst with the sound of playing cards. "Can't beat that." Lily's face darkened. I replied, "If you truly liked me, you wouldn't have humiliated me in front of everyone back then. You've always put yourself first, leaving me with your leftover feelings. Is that even love?" Her eyes reddened, and before she could respond, the same voice interrupted again. "No." After a moment of silence, she said, "I'll wait for you no matter what." And just then, the same voice added, "Hurry up already. We're all getting old here." I stood up and walked over to the next table. The person curled up in the booth, watching the game on her phone, looking up at me with a guilty expression, was Sophia. Sophia and I walked back to the dorm together. "Enjoying causing trouble?" I asked. She pouted. "Who told her to try and steal my guy?" I chuckled. "Who says she even stands a chance?" She replied, "The textbooks all say that these melodramatic moves can win someone over." I held out my hand. "Which textbook?" Sophia's face turned red as she reluctantly handed over her phone. There was an open text file titled, "Defeating the Childhood Friend, Winning the Heart of the Popular Guy." I laughed out loud. "You call this a textbook? Why don't you send this to your professor?" She snatched her phone back. "Don't be like that. I still need some dignity with my seniors." Sophia was known for her polite, distant demeanor in the lab, but with me she was like a little puppy wagging her tail. Only I knew how affectionate Sophia could be. After a moment of silence, she whispered, I I was afraid. The book said I needed to play some tricks to make you realize how much I mean to you. I was scared that if I went too far, you'd actually leave. With her head down, she added, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have eavesdropped on your conversation. I reached out to touch her face, feeling the warmth of her tears on my hand. My heart flooded with guilt. I pulled Sophia into my arms and said, You don't need those tricks. I'll love you anyway. Sophia froze in my embrace. Sophia, I'm sorry for not showing you how much I care, I said. Following Sophia's example, I changed my profile's background to our photo and introduced her to everyone I knew. Everyone now knew that Sophia was my beloved girlfriend. I learned from her how to express my feelings openly, no longer afraid to let the world know. Once, I needed to use Sophia's phone to register for an account. She handed it over without hesitation. Moments later, a string of messages popped up from Lily's number. Curious, I opened the chat. Lily had sent Sophia over 10 photos of the two of us from years ago. Sophia's response was a single photo of herself leaning into my arms. Lily's angry, hurt replies followed. As she spat insults at Sophia, Sophia's reply read, It's not my fault you couldn't hold on to Michael. You always expected him to tolerate your selfishness, as if he'd never leave you because of your history together. But Lily, no one is irreplaceable. Michael deserves something better. Lily went silent for a long while before replying, What do you know? I've known him since we were kids. My bond is deeper. Sophia's answer was quick. If time alone is what makes love, then you should marry the earth since you've been together forever. Then, as if she'd found an opening, Sophia added, Goodbye, little auntie. Don't forget to bring a generous gift for our wedding. Lily responded with a bitter emoji, then blocked her. I rarely posted on social media, but on graduation day, I shared, June isn't just for graduation gowns. It's for my bride, too. The post included a photo of my graduation picture and our marriage certificate. Friends from high school flooded the post with likes, many commenting on how I'd always been one to make big moves. Lily was the first to like it. Moments later, her profile icon went dark. Speaking of the proposal, it ended up being a bit of a funny mishap. Sophia and I somehow had the same idea at the same time and pulled out rings at the amusement park where we'd first declared our love. We stared at each other's rings for a few seconds before bursting into laughter and hugging tightly. And so, we exchanged rings on the spot. Our families met for dinner afterward. Sophia's mother, who was from City D and had a feisty personality, couldn't stop talking about how Sophia needed someone calm and steady to balance her out. Later, back at the hotel, my mom pulled me aside. Sophia's a great girl, Michael. You better treat her right. I chuckled. You're saying that after just one meeting? You can tell from her parents. Her father looks at her mother with so much love. Her mom may be a bit fiery, but she still acts playfully with her dad. That's real harmony. Kids from families like that know how to love, and I can tell she's taught you a thing or two about showing your emotions. Thinking about the times I'd been reserved with Sophia, I felt a twinge of guilt. Just then, there was a knock on the door. Michael, I bought tons of sparklers. Come on, let's go play. I opened the door, and Sophia stood there with a bright smile. I took her hand in mine, grateful that it wasn't too late. The next time I saw Lily was at my wedding to Sophia. I was adjusting my suit when she suddenly appeared behind me. I waited for her to speak, but instead, she pulled a red envelope from her pocket and handed it to me. Here's a wedding gift. Or, you could just come with me right now, she said with a hopeful look. Under her intense gaze, I took the envelope and said, Congratulations, you're the first to give your little nephew a gift. He'll remember this. Lily's eyes widened. Sophia's pregnant. I smiled and nodded. Yes, Lily, you're going to be an aunt. She went quiet, then said, Have you thought about it? What if Sophia's feelings waver in the future? Are you really ready for marriage? It's interesting. I've always been a reserved person, one who doesn't speak much. In high school, I'd see proposals on TV and wonder how people could say such mushy things without feeling embarrassed. But when the moment came, I had no hesitation. I simply pulled out the ring and said the words that felt so natural. Sophia, will you marry me? Now as Lily questioned me, I looked her in the eyes and answered, Lily, you're mistaken. Love isn't just about being constant. It's about falling in love again and again. Every time it's Sophia. Every time she meets me at the library. Every time her eyes are full of me. Every time she fills her life with our moments together. I fall for her all over again. Just the way she looks at me. That alone makes me love her more. I finally understood the courage that comes from a healthy relationship. Glancing at the bridal gown peeking from behind the door, I smiled. Every day with her is a gift from fate, and I'm willing to face any uncertainty in our future, as long as I get to enjoy our present together. I may have been unlucky with Lily, unable to find harmony with her. But I'm lucky that Sophia patiently taught me how to show my love. Sophia finally emerged from her hiding place. Her face flushed. She reached out her hand, and I took her bouquet and placed it in Lily's hands. My goddess of fate is here, Lily. I wish you all the happiness too. As I passed her, I whispered, learn to speak kindly in the future, Lily. Behind me, she murmured, there won't be anyone else. I didn't look back. After the wedding, my mom told me Lily had flown abroad that very day, leaving her parents fuming. Occasionally, I'd get messages from her overseas, just small greetings that never crossed any boundaries. Lily seemed to be holding on to the past, but I wasn't responsible for her pain. Every time I received one, I'd show it to Sophia. She'd guess who it was and always huff about not caring, then snuggle into my arms and pout. One time, while using Sophia's computer for work, I noticed a folder on her desktop. Curiosity got the best of me, so I clicked it open. It was filled with photos and videos of us, though I didn't recognize the first video. I played it. In the video, Sophia held her dog, looking rather glum. My little princess, can you complete your mission? She asked, patting the dog's head. It wagged its tail. A moment later, a boy appeared on the screen. It was me, walking past with a stack of books during our second year. Sophia nudged the dog forward, whispering, go on. Remember to stick to that big brother for a bit. If you do well, I'll give you a treat. The dog hesitated, so Sophia gently pushed it toward me. She murmured, go on. If you do this, you'll have a dad someday.